Let me play, finally, one brief excerpt that Peter Costello, the immediate past federal government's treasurer, what he had to say on Late Line last night on his view of the stimulus package.
Well, you know what I think one of the biggest failures of this government has been it's far from adding to confidence. I think this government has probably undermined confidence in the economy. What I would have been talking up, which the government apparently is afraid to do, was how strong the Australian position was. We had a $20 billion surplus. We had no net debt. We had a good regulatory system. We had the lowest unemployment in 30 years. I would have been saying, by the way, last year that we should be going for growth when the government was saying we should be restricting spending and raising interest rates.
I guess it's not surprising that Peter Costello would say that the current government is undermining confidence. Given the Australian system was so good and the Australian banks at least didn't make the same debt mistakes that other banks in the UK, Europe and the US made, why isn't the world looking at the Australian model as a good banking system, given that it now looks like very smart and prudent?
For the simple reason that I don't think internationally the Australian regulatory system is that flash hot. A loan is a bad loan once it goes bad. People, including Mr. Costello, are jumping up and down and running up and down the country talking about the alleged fact that relatively few so-called subprime loans were written in this country. We do have, though, in the Western world, the Western world's most expensive real estate. If indeed prices do begin to fall by anything approaching the levels it has in England, in America, in the Irish Republic and elsewhere, there's going to be lots and lots of bad loans. Banks are going to come under stress. I think governments are simply talking their book, saying how great they are. That snippet from Peter Costello in effect demonstrates that Paul Keating was probably the best treasurer the Liberal Party ever had. It's Paul Keating who's talking about market forces. It's Paul Keating who's talking about the importance of savings and production. And it's Peter Costello who's babbling about confidence. It's quite proper. Indeed, it's necessary that at the moment people are not confident for the simple reason they have no reason to be confident, for the simple reason that governments have got us into this mess. The sane thing to do is to be doubtful, is to be sceptical in the light of what governments are doing. To be confident at this stage is to adopt a sort of a Mr. Magoo approach to the world, to say that, oh, somehow, never mind all the problems that are going on, never mind all the domestically created problems in Australia, somehow Australians are exempt from the consequences of their own actions. And that simply isn't true.
Thanks once again for coming in.
Great pleasure.
Chris Leithner from Leithner and Company. This is 612 ABC Brisbane on ABC Local Radio Queensland.